Hello and welcome. I'm thrilled you're all here. This is Temple, just to make sure you're in the right place, this is Temple Amuna's Solar Canopy Celebration, part of the Sunday festivities. And in this room are temple visitors, temple members, students. We're thrilled to have you all here. This is it's very meaningful, and we're glad to come together as a community to celebrate and to learn. My name is Alan Sherman. I serve as the Vice President of Facilities here at Temple Amuna, and I'm thrilled to be with you to get the program underway. Each week, we read a different Torah portion, and in this week's, we read in Genesis chapter 1, Vayomer Elohim Yehi Or, Vayehi Or, Vayar Elohim et ha'or ki tov. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. God saw that the light was good. So this event really couldn't be any more timely. After all, it's about the sun, and as I said, it's a solar celebration and a solar educational event. First, the celebration part. As you arrived today, you likely parked under our solar canopies. Today, we're celebrating the 5th birthday of those solar canopies, which was after about a year of planning to make that happen. A dedicated group that I was honored to be a part of came together, worked on those canopies, and they became operational back in November of 2020. As you recall, it was during the pandemic. We weren't able to celebrate. Time went by, we got busy. 5 years later, we never celebrated. So then just a couple of months ago, Matt Liebman from JCAN, the Jewish Climate Action Network, contacted us to say that our 336 kilowatt system is the largest solar installation of any synagogue in the state of Massachusetts. Thank you, and it's also among the top 5 of any house of worship in Massachusetts, so it's pretty big. So we're thrilled to be able to celebrate today. And by the way, Matt couldn't be with us, but Fred Davis, also the former president of JCAN, is here with us today, and he'll be sharing some comments. As I said, Matt reached out about this, and he got us thinking we really should celebrate, right? This is a time to celebrate and think about these canopies, and what did they do for us? What are we celebrating? Well, as a community, we live the Jewish value of tikkun olam, repairing the world. We recycle, we compost, we have energy-efficient light bulbs, we updated our HVAC systems to be cleaner and more energy efficient. We really do quite a bit. But as I said, 6 years ago, we thought about how much carbon we were burning in terms of electricity going into the building, and we thought, there's got to be a better way. That motivated us to start exploring solar. The system we successfully installed generates 162% of the temple's electricity usage. And that excess, that's worth applauding, thank you. The excess energy production goes to low-income families in the Boston area as a community solar initiative. So again, as I said, a Tikkun Olam initiative, we're helping them too. In addition, the reality is we were looking at our costs as well. Temple Amuna spends between $50,000 and $60,000 a year on electricity, and those costs, as all homeowners know, are only going up. We're saving now 10% of the cost of that energy that we're paying for every single year, so pretty significant savings. And also, I want to mention, this is really important and a really key part of our celebration. This was done at no cost to Temple Amuna. A company that we worked with, Sunwealth, owns the canopies, they finance them, and they actually pay us a rent payment for the use of our parking lot to have the canopies there. And we're still getting the benefits of that system. So all in all, a big win and a lot to celebrate. And then beyond being a celebration, as I mentioned, this is also an educational event. We feel like if we can help other communities, individuals learn more about solar, that's really just going to help in terms of all of us as community members of our world. And perhaps you're here, I know some of us are here representing other faith communities. We're thrilled to have you here. Some of you maybe are considering solar for your own homes. Some of you maybe just are curious. Whatever those reasons that bring us together, great. We're thrilled to have you. We hope you learn a lot. We have a wonderful panel here to talk about solar and the many benefits and how it works. So we're really glad to have this be an educational event as well. As I mentioned, After the comments by the panelists, there's going to be a Q&A session. So if you do have questions, and we did get some submitted ahead of time, but if you do have questions, we'll have a wireless microphone. I'll come around and take those questions as best we can. After that, we're going to have some refreshments and about a 10 or 15-minute time to do informally chat. We invite you to speak with any of the panelists at that time for your questions. If you still don't get them answered, I'm more than happy to take your information and follow up after the event. So there's plenty of time for, as I said, for information and questions. You have a handout. Hopefully, if any of you don't, please let me know. We have a few extras. I'm not going to name everybody just in the interest of time, but that's the list, and then each of the speakers will be introducing the speaker following them. And I just want to take a moment before we get started to thank a few people. We'll have some more thanks at the end, but I just want to acknowledge our senior rabbi, David Lerner, who's with us in the back. Rabbi Lerner, thank you for being here. And the co-CEO of Resident Energy, Ben Underwood, who's with us today as well. Ben, thank you for being here. And so now I'm going to turn it over to our first speakers, Rabbi Eliana Willis, the Assistant Rabbi of Temple Emunah, and Carrie Watkins, the Hebrew College Rabbinic Intern of Temple Emunah. Thank you again for being here.
Okay, shalom everyone. I'm Rabbi Willis. This is our Rabbinic Intern, Carrie Watkins. I'm so delighted that we're all here to celebrate really an incredible accomplishment. It's really a special feature of our Keilah Kadoshah, our holy community. And I also want to give my thanks to Alan Sherman and Susan Rubenstein for your leadership and really everyone who worked so hard to make this a reality. The first time I ever came to Temple Emunah was I, of course, saw the solar panels right away. And I admit, it took me a minute to figure out what they were. You see them and you think, wow, like this is an amazing high-tech modern synagogue, a modern project, right? But really, they're here because of a very ancient idea, right? A very spiritual idea and a deeply Jewish one, that we're partners with God in being caretakers of the earth. And we'll get a little more into that.
Before we get too much into the Torah, I want to make sure we're on the same page about what solar panels are. I am thrilled about this event because I used to work in the solar industry for several years before doing the rabbi thing. And so to have these things come together is really incredible. And the first time I ever came to Temple Emunah, I saw the panels and I was like, this is incredible. And I sent a photo to Madeline Barr, who's a friend and former colleague of mine. And I think I send you pictures like almost every week, which is silly when you think about it because it doesn't change really at all. But I get so excited every time that I send the pictures. And I want to make sure that we know, especially talking to you 5th and 6th graders in the back, what solar panels are. So I want to take a couple of hands. What do solar panels do? Can someone raise your hand and answer me? Is that Zev in the back? They create energy from the sun. So instead of using fossil fuels and different energies, sources that are really bad for the environment, we get to harness the energy that's coming down from the sun anyway. Anyone have anything to add to that? Yeah, because we totally covered it. That's incredible. Good work.
Okay. So I said before that the deeply Jewish idea behind the solar panels is that we're partners with God in caring for creation. So where does that come from? Well, Alan pointed out that the Parsha, the weekly Torah reading, could not be better. We just read about the story of creation, right? And we have kind of the culmination of this story is when God creates the human being. And when God creates the world and creates Adam, the first human being, the Torah says, "Vayikach Hashem Elohim et ha'adam, vayinichehu began Eden le'ovda u'leshomra." The eternal God took Adam, took the human being, and plopped him down in the Garden of Eden, and we have a purpose given, le'ovda u'leshomra, to work it and to keep it. Okay, le'ovda is to serve or work the land, and leshomra, to guard or protect it, right? So in other words, God gives humanity a job description, which is caretakers of creation. We get to use the earth, but we also have to protect it. Later on in the Torah, when we get more mitzvot, more commandments, we get one very important principle about how we can actually be caretakers of the earth. So the book of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, which we were talking about today, Kitah Hey, has a very important principle about how to be caretakers. So it says, it gives laws of how to behave during wartime, and says when you besiege a city, when you lay siege to a city, do not destroy its trees by wielding an axe to them. So originally this meant even in war, in a time of destruction, when you're inclined to destroy, still protect the trees, right? Don't just destroy everything in your path. And later the rabbis said, if even in wartime we don't destroy the trees, how much more so we shouldn't waste resources just in daily life. We shouldn't just destroy things. We call this principle bal tashchit, which means don't waste. Very simple. It's a mitzvah not to waste resources. So every time that we reduce our waste, every time we save energy, we recycle, we use renewable power, we're living out this mitzvah of bal tashchit, of refusing to waste the gift that God has given us. Now, these are two core values of Jewish environmental stewardship, right? Le'ovda u'leshomra, that we are here to work the land and protect it, and bal tashchit, that we don't waste the resources we're given. But I do want to go a little bit deeper into the quote that Alan started with about the spiritual power of light and what it really is that we're doing here. When we read Parshat Bereshit, the story of the creation of the world, the first thing that God creates is, we just heard it? Light, right? God says, let there be light, and there was light. But then on the fourth day, God creates the sun, okay? So the rabbis ask, if God didn't create the sun till the fourth day, but God creates light on the first day, what was that light that God created? And they answer, this was the light with which God illuminated the world at the beginning, and God hid that light away for the righteous. So once the sun was created and the moon was created, that light was not kind of the main light going on anymore. That light was taken and hidden away for the righteous. It's called Or Haganuz, the hidden light. And our Hasidic teachers taught that this light, even though it's hidden, it still shines inside creation, inside the Torah, inside each and every soul, and we bring it out when we do acts of righteousness. That's what it means, that it was hidden away for the righteous. We bring it out when we do acts of righteousness. When we act with kindness, when we act with wisdom, when we care for the earth and for people, we are uncovering a little bit of that Or Haganuz, that hidden light. So in a way, when we're installing and using solar panels, right, we're using the light of the sun, but we're also uncovering some of that hidden, primordial, sacred, divine light, the light of righteousness. We're literally bringing that light down from heaven to power our sacred space, our sacred community.
I'm very touched by that. Thank you for sharing that. I just want to offer one other kind of spiritual practice that we can do in relation to these solar panels. It's a very Jewish idea to have things in our lives, physical things, be reminders for us. So just like the mezuzah that we put on the doors that reminds us that there's one God, so that every time you go through a doorway, you can have that reminder. I just want to offer as an opportunity to let these solar panels, every time you come here, be a reminder of everything Rabbi Willis was just teaching, a reminder of our responsibility to care for the earth, and a reminder that we have within us light that we get to shine out. And with that, I get the honor of introducing Senator Michael J. Barrett, Assistant Majority Leader and Chair of the Joint Committee on Telecommunications, Utilities, and Energy, and one of, if not the, leading solar proponent in all of Massachusetts. So please join me in welcoming Senator Barrett.
Actually, Senator Barrett, just before you start, I apologize. I think just given the time, if I understand, the students have to leave. 5 minutes? Okay, great. I think we're good then.
They get to hear you.
Good,
Okay.
thank you.
No pressure. I'm delighted to be here. I represent a state senate district in Massachusetts that comprises 8 towns, but I live in Lexington, just about 2 miles away. I'm very pleased that the temple is in my district. I say that because I only represent a third of the town, so it's the luck of the draw. I'm so touched by Rabbi Willis's description of those passages in the Torah. I'm a Roman Catholic guy myself, but I do want to note, not that it matters, I do want to note that my wife and kids are Jewish. And I will not talk about what it was like 45 years ago trying to find a priest and a rabbi to marry us. That did not go well. But I know things have improved. That really is a beautifully descriptive characterization of solar. I want to move from the sublime to the less sublime and talk about what state legislatures do to encourage solar. We're talking now about the business end rather than the spiritual end. Critical to putting solar canopies over parking lots or on your house or on the ground in places where the land is affordable in Massachusetts is this question of who buys it. So Resident, I think Madeline, Resident owns the panels here? Sunrun. Oh, is it Sunrun? Sunwell owns the panels here. Who does Sunwell, the erector of the panels, get to sell the electricity to? How does Sunwell break even or make money on working with the temple? That's where state legislatures come in. We have to figure out who we can designate as the buyer. In a perfect market, the legislature would stay out of the picture, but we're nurturing along a new industry here. We're trying to get it on track for the world, for the country, for Massachusetts. And we have complete regulatory control over electric utilities and gas utilities. If we want the utilities to start to integrate electricity that's clean and non-polluting into the mix that they provide to Massachusetts and to New England, we are confronted because they are a regulated monopoly. So that gives us unprecedented power that we don't ordinarily have over private sector companies. We've given them the monopoly. They're the only ones who own the wires running in and out of the parking lot. And in return, we have to then worry that they don't charge monopoly prices to you and to everyone else we represent. So we set the price that they can charge for electricity, and we need to make sure that we set an incentive price for new technologies like solar. And solar, in terms of its total penetration into the country's mix, is still new. That's where the policy making comes in. What do we require the electric utilities, Eversource, to buy the output from Sunwell? We do. And do we then set a price that Sunwell gets to charge the utility for the excess electricity, that is, that the temple doesn't use? We have to determine that price or set up a regulatory process under the governor to come up with a price. That's why your involvement in this very exotic topic, climate policy, every topic is exotic, isn't it? Healthcare, very complicated. Education, very complicated. Climate and energy, again, very complex. We need to hear from you that solar is a part of the solution as you see it. There are a lot of folks here, including people on this panel, who have given me a lot of advice and made sure that I get the I's dotted and the T's crossed. I need to hear from even more of you. I see folks in the audience here and, of course, again, on the panel who know a lot about this stuff. Every day, including this morning before I came here, I, of necessity, have to work on writing laws on these various topics. They're constantly changing. The market is in turbulence because of Donald Trump. We have to revamp, regroup, but also relaunch new initiatives to keep us on track here in Massachusetts. Lots of drafting work. I'm an attorney, so I don't mind that, but I need as much advice as I can get, and so I'm happy to be on this panel. And I want to congratulate the temple because 5 years is a long time in this business. That means you started effectively during Trump's first term. That took a real act of courage and vision on your parts. This is no small consequence. He was hostile to clean energy and to the entire proposition that climate change exists back then, too, although he's stepped up his hostilities since. So you guys took a first step when few people were, and I'm here just to say thank you.
Senator Barrett, thank you very much for your comments. Thank you for being with us today. And if you follow what goes on in in our state government, you know Senator Barrett is a strong proponent of all things solar and clean energy, and we appreciate your leadership very much.